Think about this. Something you do without even thinking, maybe 20,000 times a day, is actually a superpower you're probably not even using to its full potential.
It really is.
Yeah.
Talking about your breath.
Exactly. It's the invisible thread connecting how your body feels, what emotions you're experiencing, and even how clearly you're thinking.
And what's fascinating now is how science is really starting to catch up with these ancient ideas.
Totally. We're seeing serious research, like from Cambridge University, looking into these old breathing practices.
It's a really exciting convergence, seeing these traditional techniques validated, scientifically. They're showing just how much conscious breathing can impact us, physically, mentally.
Which brings us right to today's deep dive, which is actually inspired by you, our listener.
Yes. The resource you shared was excellent.
Yeah, those excerpts from the Aplexia Serials by Shasia Tassidi.
It really digs into the science and practice, focusing a lot on soma breath and how it links to traditional yoga breathing. It's a great source. Covers the why, the science, and the how, the actual practice. Really good for getting up to speed quickly but thoroughly.
So our mission today is basically to distill the key stuff from this manual for you. We want to give you a shortcut to understanding how powerful conscious breathing can be, the different ways to do it, and how you might actually use it.
Right. Aiming for those aha moments without, overwhelming you with jargon.
Exactly. So we'll hit the science behind soma, what's happening physiologically, compare it to pranayama and other methods.
Look at safety, which is crucial, and offer some practical ways to bring it into your life.
Okay, let's dive in. Starting with soma breath. The manual really leans into the science, especially that Cambridge research. It positions soma as this blend of old and new.
It does. Soma combines several key elements. There's the rhythmic breathing or cyclic breathing.
Which is like continuous, no pauses.
Exactly, often guided by music. The idea is it might help with heart-brain coherence, maybe even release oxytocin.
The love hormone. Interesting.
Yeah. And the manual mentions some practices might use mula bandha, that gentle pelvic floor engagement.
Okay, so rhythm and body locks. What else defines soma?
Breath retention is huge, specifically holding the breath after you exhale. Baha kumpaka.
Right, the exhalation holds.
The manual really highlights these as the way soma induces intermittent hypoxia. We'll definitely unpack that term later.
Okay, intermittent hypoxia, got it. What else?
It also mentions sometimes taking little sips of air before a final deep inhale and a brief hold after the inhale, Antara kumpaka.
So holds on both ends, but the exhale one seems key for IH.
That seems to be the emphasis. Then there's neurosomatic programming, NSP.
The mind stuff.
Pretty much. Guided imagery, affirmations, even a bit of self-hypnosis, often timed with the breath holds. It's about tapping into the subconscious.
Okay. And music. You mentioned music earlier.
Yes. Specific brainwave music is often used for rhythm and, enhancing the emotional journey. Plus, vocal toning or humming on the exhale.
Humming? Why humming?
The manual suggests it might stimulate the vagus nerve, that key nerve for relaxation, and potentially increase nasal nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, okay. Lots of layers here. Anything else?
Just a mention of yogic locks or bandhas being used in some more advanced soma practices, like their awakening ceremony, maybe for redirecting energy, creativity, that sort of thing.
It really sounds like a comprehensive system. Okay, let's get to that Cambridge study. The manual highlights it quite a bit. What did they actually do and find?
Right. This was a collaboration between Cambridge and Soma Breath. It took 14 people, novices really, not much experience with intense breath work,
Okay.
and put them through a 28-day program, the 21-day awakening journey, plus some lead-in time. They practiced daily, ramping up from 20 minutes to an hour.
Doing the rhythmic breathing and the holds.
Exactly. And the cool part was the tracking. They used portable EEG headsets for brain activity.
Wow, okay.
And something called temporal experience tracing, TET, to get detailed reports of what people were actually feeling moment by moment. So brain data and subjective experience, side by side. What were the big results?
Pretty striking, actually.
Yeah.
Participants reported having these psychedelic-like experiences, especially during the breath holds.
Psychedelic-like? Like what?
Feelings of bliss, deep insights, a sense of connection or unity, even spiritual experiences.
Really?
Yeah, and interestingly, on measures of unity and spirituality, some reports were even higher than average reports from studies using psilocybin or MDMA.
That's surprising.
Just from breath work, it is significant. And alongside that, negative feelings like anxiety reportedly decreased.
Okay, so what was happening in the brain to correlate with these feelings?
This is where it gets really fascinating. They found a strong correlation between these positive, intense, subjective states and an increase in Lempel-Ziv neural complexity.
Neural complexity. What does that mean in simple terms?
Think of it as your brain activity becoming richer, more dynamic, less predictable, more complex patterns.
And that's similar to psychedelic states.
It is. That increasing complexity is a known marker. They also found a link between these states and a lower aperiodic exponent in the brain's electrical signal.
Okay, that sounds technical.
It is a bit, but it might relate to shifts in the brain's balance between excitation and inhibition. Again, something also observed in psychedelic research.
So, definite parallels in brain activity. But were there differences compared to drug-induced states?
Yes, and that's important. For instance, alpha wave power decreased during the practice, which is common in meditative states. But unlike some psychedelic studies, the amount of decrease didn't consistently match how intense the experience felt.
Okay. So maybe not the exact same mechanism.
It suggests the underlying neural pathways might be different, even if some subjective experiences and some brain markers overlap. Soma might work through slightly different channels.
So, the big picture from Cambridge.
It's really the first rigorous evidence showing that a structured breathwork protocol like Soma can induce these profound psychedelic-like states, and that these states have measurable brain correlates, particularly increased complexity.
Which opens doors for non-drug approaches.
Exactly, for exploring consciousness, emotional regulation, maybe even therapy. But, we need to be careful with the term psychedelic-like. It's based on subjective reports and some neural signals. The deep neurochemistry needs more study.
And it's likely the combination of Soma's elements working together.
Very likely. The breathing, the holds, the music, the NSP, it seems to be a synergistic effect.
Okay. The manual also mentions Dr. Jeff Tarrant and QEEG studies. What did that add?
Right. Dr. Tarrant used quantitative EEG, a way to map brainwave patterns. His case studies on Soma breath meditation showed some interesting things.
Like what?
A significant overall decrease in slower brainwaves. Delta, theta, alpha, especially in parts of the default mode network, the DMN.
The DMN, that's linked to our sense of self, right? Quieting it is seen in meditation and psychedelics.
Exactly. It's often associated with ego dissolution or mystical type experiences. And at the same time, he saw an increase in faster gamma wave activity, particularly in the insula.
The insula, body awareness, being present.
That's right. Interoception, present moment awareness, it fits.
And what did people report feeling in his studies?
Very similar to the Cambridge findings. High levels of unity, spiritual experiences again, sometimes exceeding comparison data from psilocybin MDMA studies on those specific feelings. Plus, reduced anxiety, tension, confusion, and more happiness and peace.
So more converging evidence from a different angle.
Yeah, it's preliminary neuroscientific backing for soma-inducing brain states and subjective experiences with similarities to psychedelics, suggesting potential for mood improvement and maybe helping with anxiety or depression.
It's not just Soma, though, is it? The manual touches on broader breathwork research, too.
Right. It briefly notes the wider research supporting breathwork generally for motion regulation. Simple techniques like slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing.
Just basic belly breathing.
Yeah, have been shown to reduce stress, anxiety, depression, mostly by calming the nervous system, boosting that parasympathetic rest and digest response, and lowering stress hormones.
And what was that Soma Emotion project mentioned? Is that related?
Good question. It's actually separate. The name is a bit confusing, but Soma there just means body. That project explores using body awareness, movement, and breath together for emotion regulation.
Okay,
Yeah.
So different focus.
Yes. Initial findings show it might help with interoception awareness of internal states and self-compassion. But it's not the same as Soma breath technique itself.
Got it. So all this points to the power of breath, but to really get it, we need the fundamentals, the physiology.
Absolutely. The manual stresses this. Understanding the basics is key to using any breath work effectively. And it starts with the diaphragm.
Which is more than just an air pump.
Way more. It's the primary muscle for quiet breathing, yes, but it's also a crucial core stabilizer, working with your abs and back muscles to manage pressure inside your abdomen, intra-abdominal pressure, or IAP.
Okay, I didn't realize it was so involved in the core.
And it's physically connected everywhere, to your lower spine, your ribs, even the fascia, the psoas muscle deep in your hip. Plus, major blood vessels, the esophagus, the vagus nerve, all pass through or near it.
So its movement massages everything around it.
In a way, yes. Its health and function impact circulation, digestion, and your nervous system directly.
Wow. Okay, so what does good diaphragmatic breathing look like? The ideal pattern.
The manual describes it as 360-degree breathing. When you inhale, The diaphragm contracts and moves down. This should cause your abdomen to expand forward, yes, but also out to the sides and even into your lower back.
So not just pushing the belly out.
No, that's a common misconception. Your lower ribs should also flare outwards and backwards. Your pelvic floor might gently descend. That intra-abdominal pressure increases slightly.
And the exhale.
Ideally, it's passive, just a natural recoil. Abdomen draws in, ribs come down and in, pelvic floor gently lifts. No forcing.
360 degrees. That's a good visual. Now, gas exchange, O2 in, CO2 out. Why is understanding this important for breath work?
Because manipulating this exchange is, well, kind of the point of many techniques. The manual explains how oxygen and carbon dioxide move based on their partial pressures, basically, their concentrations.
Moving from high concentration to low.
Exactly. Across the lung membranes into the blood and then out to the tissues. Oxygen mostly rides on hemoglobin and red blood cells. CO2 travels in a few ways, but mostly as bicarbonate ions in the blood plasma.
And this connects to blood pH. Our breathing affects acidity.
Directly. That CO2 and bicarbonate system is a major buffer for blood pH. Breathes too fast and deep, hyperventilate. You blow off too much CO2, blood becomes more alkaline.
Alkalosis.
Right. Breathe too little, hypoventilate. CO2 builds up, blood becomes more acidic. Acidosis.
Okay. And the Bohr effect. That sounds important too.
It's brilliant, really. It's how your body ensures oxygen gets delivered where it's most needed. The manual explains that in active tissues, like working muscles, CO2 levels are higher and pH is slightly lower.
Makes sense.
This change actually makes hemoglobin less sticky to oxygen, so it lets go of the oxygen right where the cells need it most.
Like a smart delivery system.
Exactly. And the reverse happens in the lungs. Lower CO2, higher pH makes hemoglobin grab onto oxygen tightly.
Amazing. So this finely tuned system, what happens when our breathing patterns are off? The manual calls them imbalances.
Yeah, when that ideal 360 pattern breaks down, the body compensates. The most common is using neck and shoulder muscles to lift the chest accessory breathing.
I think a lot of people do that when stressed.
Very common. Other errors the manual lists, flaring the lower ribs way out, trying too hard to just push the belly out without rib movement, paradoxical breathing, where the belly sucks in on the inhale.
That sounds completely backward.
It is. And then there's chronic overbreathing or hyperventilation, constantly breathing more than needed, leading to low CO2 levels or hypocapnia.
And the long-term consequences of these patterns, they sound pretty bad.
They can be significant. Musculoskeletal issues are common. Neck pain, back pain, headaches, poor posture, all from muscle imbalances and lack of core stability.
Because the diaphragm isn't doing its job.
Right. Physiologically, it can affect digestion, circulation, even immunity, and that low CO2 from overbreathing. Ironically, it can make it harder for oxygen to be released to tissues because of the Bohr effect.
Wow, so breathing more can mean less oxygen delivery.
In a sense, yes, if it leads to chronic low CO2. Emotionally, poor breathing is linked to anxiety, stress, poor focus, sleep problems, and athletically, performance suffers from core instability and reduced endurance.
It really drives home how fundamental good breathing is. Okay, let's circle back to intermittent hypoxia IH. The manual dedicates quite a bit to this.
Yes, it's presented as brief, repeated exposures to low oxygen, followed by normal oxygen levels. And it's getting a lot of research attention as a potential physiological regulator.
And breath work, like Soma's exhale holds, is a way to induce this naturally.
Exactly. Soma, certain pranayama holds, Wim Hof method, they all involve phases that lower oxygen saturation temporarily.
So when we do this intentionally, what's happening inside? What are the mechanisms?
The manual explains a few key ones. A big one is hypoxia-inducible factors, HIFs. Yeah. In low oxygen, these proteins become stable, and they basically switch on genes for adaptation. Things like making more red blood cells via EPO.
Like endurance athletes want.
Kind of, yeah. Also, angiogenesis, building new blood vessels via VEGF. And adjusting metabolism, enhancing cell survival pathways.
So triggering the body's adaptation systems. What else?
Low-dose IH might also increase BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
That's the brain fertilizer stuff. Good for neurons.
Exactly. Important for learning, memory, mood. IH might also impact nitric oxide production, which is good for blood vessels and inflammation. And it could activate the body's own antioxidant defenses, like the NRF2 pathway, and reduce inflammation.
Sounds like a lot of potential benefits. But the manual also warns about dose, right? Low versus high IH.
Critically important distinction. Low to moderate IH, think oxygen levels maybe 9–16%, short exposures. Enough recovery seems potentially beneficial based on current research.
But high or severe IH?
That's harmful. Oxygen too low, like below 8%, or exposures too long or frequent, like in severe sleep apnea. That puts major stress on the system.
And it's hard to precisely control the dose with just breath holding.
Very hard. The manual rightly cautions against pushing too hard, holding too long, practicing too often, or ignoring body signals. There are risks if you overdo it.
So assuming it's controlled and low dose, what are the potential benefits the manual lists from research, even if it's mostly lab or animal studies so far?
The list includes things like enhanced athletic performance, maybe better cardiovascular health, cognitive benefits like neural protection, potentially regulating immunity and inflammation, improving mood, promoting tissue repair, maybe even metabolic health benefits.
But the key is potential and needs more human trials.
Absolutely. Lots of promise, but we need more robust human clinical data for many of these claims.
Okay. How do different breathwork methods actually use IH, focusing on those exhale holds?
Well, Soma explicitly uses exhalation holds as a core mechanic, attributing many benefits to the resulting IH. Its structured programs aim for a gradual, hopefully safe introduction.
And traditional pranayama.
Practices like Bhayakumpaka, the exhale hold, are the direct traditional parallel. Wim Hof uses hyperventilation, followed by long exhale holds, leading to quite pronounced hypoxia.
And Buteyko. That's different, right?
Yeah, Buteyko focuses on reducing breathing volume and uses control pauses, short holds after exhale, to build CO2 tolerance. This can indirectly cause very mild IH.
So the manual gives general steps for trying exhale holds safely.
Yes, basic guidelines. Find a safe, comfy spot, relax breathing first, then a full, gentle exhale, followed by a comfortable hold, stopping when you feel the first definite urge to breathe, not pushing past it.
Gentle recovery inhale.
Slow, smooth inhale. Repeat maybe 3 to 5 times. The absolute key message is listen to your body, stop if it feels wrong, and ideally, learn from someone qualified.
Definitely sounds like guidance is important there. Okay, so moving on to assessment, how can someone listening figure out their own breathing patterns?
The manual suggests asking yourself some key questions, like does your exhale feel truly complete? How long can you comfortably pause after an exhale before needing to breathe? The manual suggests aiming for 15+ seconds. Lower might indicate inefficiency, but caution is advised here.
Good indicator of CO2 tolerance.
Potentially. Also, where do you feel the breath move? Is it mostly chest? Belly? Can you sense that 360 expansion? What's your posture like while breathing? These give you clues.
Simple observation. And then for improvement, the manual offers specific techniques. Crocodile breathing.
Yes, prone diaphragmatic breathing, lying on your stomach, forehead on hands. You breathe slowly into your belly and back, feeling them press into the floor. Slow exhale.
Lay on the stomach.
It gives great feedback for diaphragmatic movement and encourages breathing into the back of the lungs. Very grounding, good for relaxing the nervous system, releasing low back tension. Avoid tensing the shoulders.
Okay, next was supine diaphragmatic breathing with feedback.
Lying on your back, knees bent, hands on belly and chest, or better yet, on the sides of your lower ribs. Focus on inhaling into the belly and feeling the ribs expand outwards, sideways.
Using hands to feel the movement.
Exactly. Slow exhale, maybe through pursed lips for gentle resistance, helps strengthen the diaphragm, improve core stability, relaxation, oxygen exchange. Again, avoid forcing the belly or only breathing into the chest.
Makes sense. Then the yoga 3-part breath, Durga Pranayama.
This is about sequential filling. Inhale smoothly first into the belly, then let it expand into the ribs, finally lifting the upper chest slightly. Exhale reverses. Chest lowers, ribs contract, belly draws in.
Like a wave.
Exactly. Smooth and continuous. Great for deep relaxation, calming the nervous system, increasing lung capacity, body awareness. Good prep for meditation. Can practice the parts separately at first.
And the last one was 360 breathing.
This really hammers home that three-dimensional expansion. Seated, standing, kneeling. Hands around the lower ribs or use a band. Inhale, feeling expansion front, sides, and back.
Like inflating a cylinder.
Perfect visual. Slow exhale, natural retraction. Avoid just pushing the belly forward or flaring the ribs up. This builds maximum diaphragm efficiency, core stability, IAP management. Releases tension. It's foundational.
These sound like great starting points. The manual stresses consistency, right? And awareness in daily life.
Absolutely. Little bits often are better than one huge session. Add it, stack it, link it to brushing your teeth or waiting for coffee. And just notice your breath during the day. Stressed. Lengthen the exhale. Active. Keep it deep. Sitting. Check for shallow breathing.
Okay, that leads nicely into the next section. Breathing, movement, and freedom. How are they all connected?
The manual calls breathing a feed-forward mechanism for core stability. meaning good diaphragmatic breathing naturally increases that intra-abdominal pressure and activates core muscles before you even move.
It preps the core.
Exactly. It anticipates the need for stability. So if your breathing is off,
Your core isn't properly prepped.
right, other muscles compensate, leading to pain, neck, shoulders. Core instability increases injury risk. Sometimes your body might even limit your range of motion to create a false sense of stability.
So better breathing equals better movement.
Fundamentally, yes. Improving breath quality is key for core function and musculoskeletal health.
And in yoga specifically, how does breath play out?
In so many ways. Vinyasa uses breath to link movements, creating flow. Holding poses requires diaphragmatic breath for core stability. Relaxed exhales help deepen stretches.
And mentally?
The breath is the anchor for focus, mindfulness. And pranayama uses breath to work with energy, prana. Slow, stable, aware breathing coordinated with movement is essential.
The manual talks about freedom through healthy breathing. What does that mean?
It's freedom on multiple levels. Physical freedom, better coordination, stability, more range of motion. Physiological freedom, a flexible nervous system, better stress resilience, organ function, oxygen exchange. Psychological freedom, clearer mind, emotional stability, more inner awareness.
So it's holistic.
Totally. The quote was something like, with freedom of breath, there is freedom of movement and even freedom of mind and body. Powerful idea.
Very. Okay, let's dive into traditional pranayama techniques, which the manual details.
Right, pranayama, the fourth limb of Ashtanga Yoga, focuses on expanding prana, life force, purifying nadis, energy channels, balancing body-mind, prepping for meditation.
It revisits Durga pranayama, the three-part breath.
Yes, reinforcing it as a great starting point, smooth, complete, calming.
Then Ujjayi pranayama, victorious breath.
Often used in Vinyasa Yoga. Purpose, focus, internal heat, stable mind, synchronizing breath and movement.
How do you do it? The throat thing.
You gently constrict the back of the throat, the glottis, while breathing through the nose. Creates a soft ocean-like sound on inhale and exhale.
Benefits.
Focus, heat, stable rhythm, calming, maybe slightly increases airway pressure. Key is gentle sound, no straining.
Okay. Nadi Shatana, alternate nostril breathing. Very popular.
Purpose is balance. Balancing left-right energy flows, Adapangala, brain hemispheres, autonomic nervous system, promotes calm, clarity, concentration.
The technique with the hand gesture.
Usually Vishnu Mudra with the right hand, close right nostril, inhale left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left. That's one round.
Basic version, no holds.
Right, start simple. Benefits. Balances nervous system, calms mind, improves focus, respiratory function, can lower heart rate BP. Great meditation prep, gentle pressure, quiet breath. Not if your nose is blocked.
Then the more energizing ones. Kapalabhati, skull shining breath.
Yes, considered a Kriya, a purification technique. Energizing, promotes mental clarity. Uses rapid, forceful exhales driven by abdominal contraction. Inhales are passive.
How many pumps?
Maybe 20, 30 per round, 2-3 rounds. Benefits. Cleanses airways, energizes, stimulates digestion, strengthens abs, sharpens focus, but it's strong and heating.
Big safety list for this one.
Huge. Pregnancy, menstruation, high BP, heart issues, hernia, ulcers, epilepsy, vertigo, eye issues like glaucoma, retinal detachment, recent surgery, caution with anxiety, asthma, learned with guidance. Definitely.
Okay. And Pastrika, bellows breath, even more intense.
Yes, generally considered more powerful than Kapalabhati. Forceful inhales and exhales of equal intensity and duration, like a bellows pumping. Again, abdominal movement.
Fewer breaths per round.
Maybe 10, 20, 2-3 rounds. Benefits. Highly energizing, generates lots of heat, purifies, stimulates metabolism, balances energy. Excellent meditation prep if done right.
Safety, even stricter.
Similar contraindications to Kapalabhati, possibly stricter. Pregnancy, high BP, heart disease, hernia, ulcers, epilepsy, vertigo, eye issues, recent surgery, acute lung problems. Very cautious with anxiety, weak constitution, hot weather. Must learn from an experienced teacher.
Wow. Definitely need expert guidance for those two. The manual mentions others briefly.
Yes, Samavriti, equal ratio breath, maybe with holds. Brahmari, humming bee breath on exhale. Shitali Sukari, cooling breaths using the tongue. Just shows the variety.
It's a rich tradition. Okay, so comparing Soma to these others, how does the manual lay it out?
He uses a helpful comparison table. Soma versus pranayama versus Wim Hof versus holotropic rebirthing. Looks at techniques, rhythm, holds, mechanisms, goals, intensity, safety.
Comparing Soma versus traditional pranayama first. Similarities.
Shared roots in Yoga Ayurveda. Elements like rhythmic breathing, exhale holds, like Bahe Kumpaka, toning, bandhas appear in both traditions.
Difference.
Soma integrates these into specific modern sequences, like the awakening journey. Pranayama often teaches techniques more separately. Soma adds modern elements. Brainwave music, NSP.
Different emphasis, too.
Pranayama often focuses on prana control, channel purification, meditation prep. Soma emphasizes specific physiological states, IH, health goals, and those psychedelic-like experiences. Soma's focus on IH mechanisms is more explicit and modern science-based.
So Soma is like a modern remix.
You could say that. A modern interpretation integrating traditional elements with music, psychology, and a specific focus on IH for a structured multisensory experience.
Okay. And Soma versus other modern methods. Wim Hof.
Similarities. Cyclic breathing, exhale holds, IH, for energy, stress, resilience. Differences. Wim Hof adds cold exposure. Soma uses music guidance, NSP, toning. Wim Hof maybe focuses more on raw physiology and willpower.
Soma versus holotropic or rebirthing. Big difference there.
Key difference in technique. Holotropic rebirthing uses continuous connected hypoventilation. Soma uses rhythmic breathing with structured holds, especially exhale.
Different kind of experience.
Yes. Holotropic often aims to release deep subconscious material, can be intense, cathartic, sometimes chaotic. Soma aims for more controlled transformation via holds and NSP. Music guidance differs too.
Safety considerations.
Holotropic rebirthing, generally seen as higher intensity, higher risk of strong emotional release, really requires trained facilitators. Soma, while needing caution, might be more manageable for solo practice once learned, though guidance is still advised.
So they exist on a spectrum.
Exactly. The manual suggests a spectrum. Relaxation balance, Bharaka, Nadi Shodhana.
Yeah.
Energy purification, Kapalabhati, Pastrika. Physio challenge adaptation, Wim Hof. Transformation consciousness exploration, Soma, holotropic. Choose based on health, goals, experience, and get guidance when needed.
Which leads perfectly into the safety chapter. Crucial stuff.
Absolutely vital. Breathwork is powerful, needs respect. General guidelines apply to almost all types.
Like?
Safe place not in water, driving, etc. Comfy position. Start slow, progress gradually. Listen to your body, stop if anything feels alarming. Empty stomach ideally. Get qualified guidance for intense stuff.
And potential reactions, what can happen? Hyperventilation.
Rapid breathing, low CO2. Can cause dizziness, tingling, muscle cramps, tetany, altered state. Usually benign, but rarely can trigger seizures in susceptible people, fainting or arrhythmia.
Breath holding, intermittent hypoxia.
Strong urge to breathe. Maybe twitches, dizziness, warmth, altered state. Risks if pushed too far. Severe dizziness, fainting, dangerous for underlying heart conditions.
Strong emotional release, especially with intense methods.
Yeah, like holotropic. Can involve crying, laughing, shouting, shaking, reliving trauma. Can be overwhelming or re-traumatizing without proper support and integration.
Okay. Specific contraindications for Soma itself. The absolute no-goes.
Severe acute illness infection, moderate severe COPD, organ failure, pregnancy, epilepsy, pacemaker, severe arrhythmia, uncontrolled high BP, recent heart attack, active cancer, unless doctor approves.
And conditions needing caution or modification for Soma?
Tinnitus, hernia, intolerance to low oxygen, certain eye issues, glaucoma, retinal detachment, recent surgery injury, osteoporosis, severe mental health history. Consult professional.
Contraindications for specific pranayama, Kapalabhati Hastrika.
Very similar to Soma's absolute list, plus menstruation often listed for Kapalabhati.
And Kumpaka, breath holding in general.
Caution advised for cardiovascular respiratory problems, anxiety disorders, glaucoma, pregnancy.
General precautions for any II breath holding practice.
Again, caution with heart, lung, neurological issues, eye conditions, pregnancy, mental health history, or acutely unwell.
The message is clear. Know your health. Be informed, ask a professional if unsure.
Exactly. Consult your doctor if you have any contraindications, cautions, undiagnosed issues, heart, lungs, brain, BP, take relevant meds, have serious mental health history, or plan to use breathwork therapeutically. Better safe than sorry.
Definitely. Okay, final chapter. Integrating this into life, making it stick.
Yeah, practical advice. Start small, even 5 minutes. Find pockets in your day. Habit stack, link it to something you already do. Set reminders, create a nice space.
And if someone wants to explore structured methods, Soma, yoga.
For Soma, check their official website app, look for certified teachers, courses like The Awakening Journey. For pranayama, find yoga classes that focus on it or integrate it well into asana.
Beyond formal practice, how to weave it into daily moments.
Notice your breath when stressed, slow it down, lengthen the exhale.
Yeah.
Notice it during exercise, keep it deep. Notice it when sitting, check for holding or shallowness. Observe the link between breath and emotion.
Find community. Keep learning.
Connect with others, online groups, workshops, retreats. Follow reliable resources. Keep an open but critical mind. And always, always listen to your body.
Your body as the ultimate guide.
Yes, interoception is key. Prioritize comfort, safety. Everyone's different. Consult pros when needed. It's an ongoing journey of self-care and exploration.
So wrapping up this deep dive, key takeaways. We've hit the science of soma, the vital role of basic breathing mechanics, the double-edged sword of IH.
The importance of foundational practices, the diversity of methods, and crucially, safety first. Always safety first.
And while we got specific about soma and others, the big message is the huge potential of just conscious breathing.
Absolutely. It's this accessible inner tool. Stress, sleep, performance, pain, emotional resilience, self-discovery. It touches so much.
So the encouragement for you listening is apply this. Start basic, go slow, see what resonates.
Right. Explore with curiosity, patience, and respect for your own body's wisdom.
And maybe that final thought is just appreciating the breath itself, this thing that's always here, totally free.
As a direct path to health. Maybe even to a kind of awakening. A profound resource right under our noses.